President Trump has settled on his closing argument for the midterms, lying about health care, immigration, and a made-up tax cut. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. After a series of explosive devices was sent to prominent Democrats and CNN yesterday, President Trump flew to Wisconsin to campaign for GOP Senate candidate Leah Vukmir. You could tell Trump was trying to restrain himself. In fact, throughout the rally, he kept bragging to the crowd about how nice he was being.
The Democrats are for higher taxes, more regulation, and more top-down government control. And by the way, do you see how nice I'm behaving tonight? This is like, have you ever seen this? We're all behaving very well. And hopefully we can keep it that way, right? We're going to keep it that way. Leah's radical far-left opponent is Tammy Baldwin, who wants a socialist takeover of health care. You know, I'm trying to say that very nicely. I'm trying to... See, normally I'd scream, they want a socialist takeover. Now I say, wants a socialist takeover. I'm trying to be nice.
Man, low-energy Trump is so weird. It's like seeing that neighborhood dog who's always digging through everyone's trash suddenly moping around with a cone on his head. And hey, maybe don't make it clear that being nice wasn't your first choice. You're like a cannibal who wants credit for just licking people's faces. Isn't it great that I haven't taken a bite? You're an adult. You don't get credit for doing something adults are supposed to do. Someone sent bombs to several major political figures, and Trump's acting like a kid whose parents forced him to wear a suit for the family Christmas photo. I'm surprised he didn't end the rally by turning to Mike Pence and saying, I was nice, can I have my ice cream now? Also, listen to Trump. Listen to Trump's impression of himself. It's almost like he knows how crazy he is.
See, normally I'd scream, they want a socialist takeover. Now I say, wants a socialist takeover.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Donald Trump has the best Donald Trump impression. Have you guys ever noticed that thing where I'm all like crazy? This rally was just the latest in a series Trump has been doing to campaign for Republicans in the closing days before the midterms. Now, if there's one refrain you hear more than any other at these rallies, it's his false claim that he's accomplished more than any president in history. But tellingly, Republicans are not actually talking about any of those supposed accomplishments. Just take their signature piece of legislation, the massive tax cut they gave to corporations and the wealthy. That tax cut is so unpopular that rather than campaign on it, Trump is just making up a completely new tax cut specifically for the middle class that he claims Republicans are about to pass.
We are looking at putting in a very major tax cut for middle-income people. And if we do that, it'll be sometime just prior, I would say, to November. We are going to be putting in and are studying very deeply right now, round the clock, a major tax cut for middle-income people.
What was your time frame for that?
I would say sometime around the 1st of November, maybe a little before that.
I'll give Trump credit for one thing. He doesn't overwhelm you with the details. We're gonna maybe do a tax cut pretty soon, maybe November-ish. So Trump says Republicans are going to introduce a major middle-class tax cut prior to November, which sounds great, except for the fact that Congress is out of session until after the November 6th midterm elections. So there are two possibilities here. Either Trump is lying or he doesn't know how Congress works, and honestly, it's probably both. If you're ever asking yourself, is Trump lying or is he stupid, the answer is most likely C, all of the above. And yet Trump keeps repeating this obvious fabrication, hoping voters will hear it and think Republicans are actually going to cut their taxes. In fact, here's an exchange Trump had with reporters this week where they tried to explain to him that what he was saying made no sense. I'm going to read the transcript for you. Here it is. You said that you wanted tax cuts by November 1st. Congress isn't even in session. How is that possible? No, we're going to be passing. No. We're putting in a resolution sometime in the next week or week and a half, 2 weeks. A resolution where? we're giving a middle-income tax reduction of about 10%. Are you signing an executive order for that? No, no, no. I'm going through Congress. But Congress isn't in session, though. We won't have time to do the vote. We'll do the vote later. Congress is out. We'll do the vote after the election. It's like an Abbott and Costello routine where Trump is Abbott and Costello, and the theater has a gas leak. That transcript is like listening to your grandpa talk to the cable guy. I'm trying to change the channel. Sir, your TV's not on. Yes, it is. What channel are you watching? The Snowy Channel. Trump then repeated the same lie at a rally in Texas later that day, and as he was talking about it, he tried to ask the congressman in charge of tax policy, Kevin Brady, who was in the crowd, if what he was saying was accurate.
We're going to be putting in a 10% tax cut for middle-income families. It's going to be put in next week. You talk about help with taxes. And so, Kevin, we're putting in next week the 10% reduction in middle-income taxes, right? Next week.
We're putting it next week, right? No? Why? Oh, because Congress is out of session. But why? Oh, they're campaigning. For what? Oh, Congress. What's that? But Trump isn't just lying. Trump isn't just lying about stuff he hasn't done. He's also lying about stuff he has done, like his attempts to repeal Obamacare, which protects people with pre-existing conditions. Remember, this has been the defining fight of the last decade of politics. Republicans have spent 10 years promising and then trying to repeal Obamacare, and yet, in perhaps the most brazen lie of his presidency, Trump tweeted yesterday and repeated again today the false claim that Republicans will protect pre-existing conditions.
Quote, Republicans will totally protect people with pre-existing conditions. Democrats will not. Vote Republican.
We will always protect Americans with pre-existing conditions, always.
Dude, you just spent 2 years trying to repeal the damn thing. We saw you. You held a party in the Rose Garden to celebrate. Do you remember? It was you and the cast of Cocoon. I mean, look at how many old white dudes are there. All they need is an acoustic guitar, and that press conference could have doubled as a Viagra commercial. And not only did the GOP try repeatedly to repeal Obamacare, the administration is currently backing a lawsuit that seeks to overturn Obamacare and its protections for people with pre-existing conditions. And yet, in spite of this, Trump and GOP candidates across the country have been lying through their teeth, claiming that they will maintain those protections.
We can protect pre-existing conditions, and you need to understand, everyone agrees we're going to protect pre-existing conditions.
We can protect people with pre-existing conditions in the state without protecting the failure that is Obamacare.
I am passionate about protecting people with pre-existing conditions and forcing insurance companies to provide them health insurance.
I support forcing insurance companies to cover all pre-existing conditions.
We support taking care of people with pre-existing conditions. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll fall in front of a truck before I let people go without coverage for pre-existing conditions.
Oh, well, lucky for you, falling in front of a truck is covered under Obamacare. So, in the closing days of the campaign, Trump and the GOP are lying brazenly about health care and a made-up tax cut. And if all that fails, Trump's fallback plan is to scare the crap out of people by lying about immigration. In fact, we're seeing that all over this country. Republicans are fear-mongering about immigration, appealing to racial paranoia, and in some cases running explicitly racist campaigns against their Democratic opponents, which is why it was so cathartic to watch this amazing exchange yesterday from Florida's gubernatorial debate between Democrat Andrew Gillum and Republican Ron DeSantis.
Mr. DeSantis has spoken. First of all, he's got neo-Nazis helping him out in this state. He has spoken at racist conferences. He's accepted a contribution and would not return it from someone who referred to the former president of the United States as a Muslim, N-I-G-G-E-R. When asked to return that money, he said no. He's using that money to now fund negative ads. Now, I'm not calling Mr. DeSantis a racist. I'm simply saying the racists believe he's a racist.
If I may appropriate some black culture for just a moment, oh snap. I really hope Republicans are right about health care, because after a hit like that, that dude's gonna have a pre-existing condition. That debate should have gone by Mortal Kombat rules.
I'm simply saying the racists believe he's a racist.
Finish him.
Seriously. Look at that guy's face. Anytime someone makes that face, it should be accompanied by this sound. Think about what it says that after 2 years in power, all Republicans could do is lie about health care, make up a fictional tax cut, and try to terrify people about a group of vulnerable migrants slowly walking toward the border. They've had 2 years to govern and nothing to show for it. I'd say a lot worse than that, but
I'm trying to be nice.
this has been a closer look.